Hi, I'm Jessa.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Jessa and Alex review
Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. So did we like this film, Jessa?
We so did.
So where are we? This lovely place.
We're in Virginia.
Yeah.
In a beautiful hotel called the Fenton Inn, folks. If you see us move and wince, it's because these two horse girls decided to take a 4-hour ride up the mountain yesterday. And
yeah, we decided to have our own horse girl weekend. And you're not allowed to judge us for that because we also scheduled a little fun viewing of Black Panther 2.
Yes.
And as always, it was a sheer delight seeing it with you.
Of course.
You know, the reason we started this channel, we have the exact same vibe going into a movie watching experience. Yeah. Unfortunately, the vibe for Black Panther 2, spoiler free, was sad and horny.
Yeah. I think that's a winning combo.
100%. It's my ideal combo.
Yeah.
We don't need to investigate that.
That's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Let's do a little spoiler-free review first. For people who have not seen the movie yet and are like, oh my god, I will only see it if Jessa and Alex like it.
Yeah, okay. What's your spoiler free? You go first.
Spoiler free, I think sad and horny was correct. I think not as good as the first one. That's going to be really difficult to do, but it wasn't trying to tell the same story. It told a new story.
Which I respect.
I do too. And listen, it's gorgeous to look at. Everybody's deeply hot. Costumes are stunning, music is great, story is great, action is a blast. So yes, go see it. Do you need to have seen 6.5 million other Marvel movies to watch it? Not really. Just watch the first Black Panther. Definitely. You definitely need that background.
It's a sequel to Black Panther.
100%. A solid 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's an excellent review. I think I actually give it 5 out of 5 stars only because the things that I would mark it down for, I actually respect that it didn't, like you were saying, try and tell the same story as the first movie, because I think there's a lot of pressure. Like Black Panther 1 was for the Black community, like an event, like a moment in time. It's like Hamilton on Broadway. It did a lot of things that changed a lot of the ways that it wasn't as big of an impact as Hamilton, but I think for a lot of nerds and even Black children, Black Panther did something that it will we'll never see something like that in the Marvel universe again for the Black community. Now, Chadwick was going to all of these HBCUs after that year, there was those whole beams of him being exhausted from doing the Wakanda Forever. And I think that kind of impact, the amount of pressure that would go into making a sequel for that is intense. And they just set out to make a really good film, and they weren't trying to have that impact again. But I think because they did that, they told a story that was really fun. So I think this one I'll probably rewatch more.
Interesting.
Because it has for me, it has more of the juicy, fun, shippy stuff that I love. So I would say if you're a fandom girly, you should go see this movie. Jess and I were talking about it for hours afterwards. The shipping potential is off the charts. I think it's absolutely stunning to look at. That's something that it carries on from the first one. It's gorgeous to look at. It's beautiful to listen to. Pacing is great. If we're talking about film in general, probably 4 out of 5 stars. If we're talking about Marvel movies, it still sits at a 5 out of 5 for me. I think it's up there with some of the best.
Yeah,
Marvel
and I'm
movies.
trying to think. I'm Black Panther, Ragnarok.
Shang-Chi, I think, is really good.
Shang-Chi is a little bit lower for me, but I loved it. Winter Soldier. Those are, I think, pretty generally agreed on as like the 3 best. I'd say it's in I would put it in the same ranking as Shang-Chi, I would say.
Yeah, I guess for me, Shang-Chi ranks high because it's so beautiful to look at. Love the inclusion of, if you didn't know, the Mexican heritage that we brought into this film with the antagonist's culture. And that's all I'm going to say on that for now. But I think it's really interesting, and it is 100% worth the price of admission to see it in a theater.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
You should see it on a big screen.
Definitely.
If you can.
Yeah. It's got some big, beautiful vistas.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I think there ends our spoiler-free version.
Yeah.
Go see the movie, and then come back and watch the rest. Okay. Starting from the beginning, right?
It's a very good place to start.
Before even the Marvel logo comes up, I'm just wrecked.
We're stopping.
Yeah, starting with T'Challa's funeral, and of course it's the real thing. Like, if it was just the character, I'd be like, oh, that's really sad.
No. Right. There was also that added pressure, right, is that you had to respect Chadwick Boseman's life and memory.
Yes. So I think that the feeling the actors' real emotion and the way that this film was to a great degree about allowing them to process their grief, not just the actors, the whole team who had worked with him, that hit really hard. And then the Marvel logo being just all Chadwick Boseman.
I mean, and at first, when it came up, I was like, oh, what a great in memoriam for him.
Yeah.
With the silence and the breath that comes with watching it. And then those mothers had the nerve to make it like a part of the artistry of the film, because if you've watched the whole movie, there's this whole thing about grief needing to be in silence and just listening. And so the fact that you're in a theater at the beginning of the movie with Chadwick's pictures, and you usually have like a big Marvel song, and like the impact of that absence of us just all like taking the time to process and grieve, and then ending the movie on Shuri. This is before the post credits, but ending the movie with Shuri like pausing, quiet, and listening. I was like, oh, y'all did something with that.
We should say Alex has seen the movie twice. I saw it for the first time last night.
Sorry.
She saw it for the second time.
Yes.
So I got a slightly different perspective, having a little more time with it and seeing it twice.
And I think obviously, like, when I say I've seen it twice, like I saw it opening night, and so I've had like a full week to process and think about it. And then Jessa just saw it last night. I love that. I thought it was really respectful and really kind, and I like that they didn't put, there was a lot of careful language about what the character of Black Panther T'Challa, what he died of. Like, they were like, like they just...
Yes, that was very interesting, because it did reflect a lot of Chadwick's situation, because of course he didn't tell, even the people from Black Panther did not know that he had been struggling with cancer for all of that time. So I thought that was really interesting, having it on the news be like an undisclosed illness, and being like, that's not your business.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. I'm getting really...
I know. Chadwick Boseman's death is one of the like celebrity ones that hit really hard, and I'm like, I don't know this person. I don't know why it hurts so bad to lose this stranger, you know?
Well, I do think it's because he obviously, like we were talking about the immense impact that Black Panther had. I think he was such a huge part of that impact. So we all like looked at him as like Black Panther, which again, the writers of this film, it's reflected in the script that that's also what Wakanda is dealing with. It's like, that's their savior. Like, that's their person that had an impact. He's the one that like took his antagonist from the last film and then, you know, created all of these programs in America and did a lot of work. So, I think that's part of it. At least for me, it was like, and he's so young, and he took up that helm of being like the representation of that impact so well. And I think so. I don't know. I think it was just because we weren't expecting him to be gone so soon.
It felt like there was so much more work to do.
Right. I think all of us had a vision of a massive career and amazing, like, we had pictures of him, you know, at the Oscars.
The Sidney Poitier.
Yes, exactly. I think we saw the potential in him, and so I think to lose all of that was, like, I think just a big blow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was thinking right from the very beginning that opening with the funeral and everything was so moving, and I was like, this is why I think, forgive me for being a Star Wars fan, I think they should have let Princess Leia died between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, because then The Rise of whatever it becomes, that third movie, is about her loss, and you get to sit with it and honor her in that way. And I know that they tried to make the best choice that they could, but that had been my feeling for a while. And watching this and seeing this movie not try to paper over it, not like recast or use some horrible CGI demon.
The worst.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't have handled that, I don't think.
Yeah. I think it just showed me, like, Carrie Fisher's death was deeply difficult for me. So stupid. But again, sometimes people we don't know mean a lot to us.
Well, and that one specifically for you and for a lot of people, like, I came late to Star Wars, and Carrie Fisher's death even, like, hurt me, you know? Yeah. Like, she was just a person for you, like, you'd read her biographies and stuff like that, like, you grew up with her, so that's an icon for, you know?
Anyway, I don't want to derail too much and get on Star Wars, but I did think, you know, imagine if that movie had allowed itself to be about her loss and dealing with it. Anyway, Queen Ramonda walks into the UN, and that could have been the end of the movie right there, because Angela Bassett looked so phenomenal. I have never seen a more powerful and beautiful woman walk into a room.
Correct. I just want you to know that I have, from what we've discussed so far of the review, I have 4 notes. One says, "That silence." The other one says, we had more things that happened, but I went right to the UN. It says, "An entrance, arms." And then I have a quote, the dangerous one is you, when she's speaking to them about, like, when she's like, let me be clear, we're not keeping vibranium as a resource for ourselves because we're afraid of, like, what vibranium can do. We're afraid of what you'll do with it.
Yeah.
So, like, and then the next one is just, like, an all bolded 2-liner that just says Angela Bassett. So
I think that's correct.
So, like, that's 3 out of the 4. That's all just about the impact that Angela Bassett, like, this woman, first of all, she has taken some kind of fountain of youth.
Oh, it's absurd.
It's insane. But also her diction, the amount of eating of her words.
Listen, jumping way ahead, the scene where she fired Okoye, I didn't want to ruin the moment, but I was like,
well, honestly,
she came to work today.
She came to work
absolutely.
every single day. But yes,
the acting in that scene, I was like, ma'am.
I know. I will say, just to jump with you to that scene, because I have the bladder of a pea, I had to go to the bathroom during that, the first time I watched it. So that was the first time of me seeing that scene. Like, I came in at the end when Okoye asked to speak. That's when I had come back. So I had never seen Angela Bassett perform that, like, all of my family is dead. And I was like, I was taken aback. I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
So I think that we were having the same thing at the same time, where I was like,
Okay, so the UN introduces our very important theme. White people cannot be trusted.
I'm sorry if that offends you and you're watching this review.
Don't go see the movie.
Well, you've already seen it because you're
you're in the spoiler review.
Yeah. So like, if you didn't understand that that's what the movie was about, I'm so sorry. But that's what our review is going to be reflective of what the movie was about.
Correct.
So, just warning you ahead of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point of the movie is that colonizers are the devil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we weren't playing around. Okay, we're at the UN, and the French are like, we think that you're hiding the vibranium from him while they're actively trying to steal it from the Wakandans.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Overall, I thought it was interesting, and I do think they could have pushed this a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
The way that it's two nations of people of color who both know they're about to become the target of the whole world, fighting each other instead of banding together against like the invading.
I mean, to be fair,
forces.
that's our antagonist's point.
It is.
Like, but yes, I think we could have pushed that forward, and I'm hoping wherever we're going next with them that we will see that. But I do think, and I had allowed myself to say this to you at our really expensive Applebee's dinner, that
we were
living the high life, that that I think there's a theme in that Marvel can let the antagonist can say the thesis that white people can't be trusted and they look down on these nations of color, but our Marvel heroes can't say that because they're worried about isolating an audience. And that's an unfortunate truth that I hope that they like get over, because while I think it's excellent, like we have some of the best antagonists in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Black Panther 1 and Black Panther 2, like those men are iconic. I do think it's kind of taking the easy way out to have your antagonist say your thesis because you're afraid to let your hero do it.
Yeah, and that's oh my foot fell asleep. That is a issue, I think, across all of Marvel. You know, we talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the way they have Carly being like, hey, maybe we should not have borders, and maybe we should not hoard resources. And then they're like, and then she blew up a building,
right,
to keep it from getting too radical.
Right.
It's an interesting trend. Okay, so let's talk about Senor Namor. Respectful things to say.
That man's hot.
He's really
and, like, honestly, that was a disservice. The word hot is a like, that man did things to me.
We wish. Namor does have strong similarities with Killmonger, and I think they didn't push it quite as much as they did with Killmonger, but having the scene of him coming to bury his mother and finding her ancestral land is now a plantation, and pointing to people of color being enslaved by colonizers, by, empire. It was just like it was brief. That's why it's not a 5 out of 5 movie for me. Because there are some things I think it gets out of balance, and I don't at all blame Ryan Coogler or any of the Black Panther side of things. I think that is the pressure of being a Marvel movie that also has to set up other things in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I see. Now I get what you're saying, where you, her name is not Selena. Val is Val. You were saying that last night when we were not talking about the movie, that you felt like there was too much on Ross and Val, and we could have spent more of that time on either the Wakandans or the Telecons. Which I agree with. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Val in particular is about pushing forward is it Thundercats? Birds?
Thundercats? I hope it's Thundercats. No, I think it's birds. I don't know.
Whatever it is, the one that is headed up by Florence Pugh. Yeah, it's about setting up their like Suicide Squad vibe movie. So I did love that. I'll just get it out there now. I could have cut all of the Ross and Val stuff. I didn't need it.
I think they did too much of it. All of the stuff that was set up for other movies, I agree, we could have just picked that out and tossed it in the corner. I do think like having those meetings and those conversations about like, oh, it's the Wakandans, we have to attack the Wakandans, we have to go to war with it. I think that's necessary to tell the thesis of the film that white people are evil. but mostly that like they are targeting these cultures, and it's truly like it's embarrassing for them. Like there's no way they know they can't win a war with Wakanda. In fact, when they needed help to fight a war, they called upon Wakanda.
Right.
So like it's racism. Is that like why they think they're like, oh, like the reason they're so focused on Wakanda having this resource is because they're an African country that has this resource.
We have to talk about the point where the CIA dude in that room, they're like, we're about to authorize moving on Wakanda. And Ross is like, what do you mean? And he literally says, destabilization. Love my country. It's cute how that's real life, and we have done that all over the world.
Right. And there's a lot of care in these movies to talk about how Wakanda is not this like idea of a third world country that you think about when you think about the African continent. You know, like how when they go to MIT and they say it's like the equivalent of a Wakandan village school, which is hilarious. And like when we go to Haiti and we see like that amazing school system that she has set up, and I think they're doing a lot of really good work in these movies in talking about that. But I do think that the Ross Selena plot is necessary for that. Now, all of that stuff in the apartment and they're like being exes, which like I found like funny. Like I enjoy that because I enjoy those two actors and I think it's fun to watch them play. I think it's fun to transport Selena from Veep into the Marvel universe.
She's the same person.
She's the exact same person. They just put blue in her hair.
Yeah. This is her next career.
But however, it did, I think, take away from the film, the quantity of them they had. I do want to go back really quick to the introduction of the Telecons, because wow, what an amazing villain origin. Okay, like them, like, because it's spooky, like it's legitimately
the sirens. I love that they had sirens. So cool.
Legitimately amazing.
Random like Belle. As I said to you in the theater, when she first got out of the helicopter, I thought it was Idina Menzel. No, it was Lake Bell.
But just like Lake Bell to just kill. well, that's what I thought was so funny, and it was like, her just being like, and I think she's a great choice because she's an actress we love. Like she's like the quirky, fun brunette girl that you really like. But let's really deconstruct that. She sent her colleagues down there to steal that resource. And she knew that the Wakanda, like she immediately is like, the people attacking us are the Wakandans. And then if we go further, you've stolen this amazing technology that is not being able to be created anywhere else from a 19-year-old Black woman in MIT, and you put your name on it. So, I mean, like there's a lot of layers there that I really, really love. And like she didn't even know that they were using her school project. You know, incredible. But then that's when they get them being flung by Whale Tail. It is truly the most incredible thing. The amount of it was a serotonin boost to and then their design of their like water masks and their headdresses, and and him and his stupid little winged feet coming up and being like, oh, that plane, no problem.
Yes.
It was but yeah, the sirens, just like their little heads poking out, and then like the image of all of those men just like, I was like, oh, we're doing something real today.
Okay, so Riri. So let's talk Riri. Okay, Ironheart. Here's the okay. Apologies to the people who are gonna hate me. I think the actress is so charming, and she was adorable, and I loved her interaction with everyone. I also think she is the character that most feels like
a Marvel character?
No, most feels like you must have this character because we're setting up for the future.
Oh, well, yes.
I think they blended her, and like you talked about the thematic resonance of having this young Black woman's design story and all that. Unfortunately, she doesn't fully blend in the narrative, no matter how many times they say the word the scientist throughout.
Yeah.
However, best action scene in the movie is Okoye and Shuri and Riri. I did turn to Alex after it was over, and I did the Little Women
because it's so good, and it just honestly, I love every part of the interaction at MIT. Like I said, I loved the village school reference because it's just like the minor shade they're throwing at the way America specifically, and I would say England, and interact with African nations. I just think any part of that, love it.
Also, the visual of those two women in their like high fashion sportswear and their expensive sunglasses leaning against this beautiful car trying to blend in at MIT.
Right. Okoye, the whole interaction about Okoye using the Fenty products to cover up her head tattoo, which I think was hilarious because she could easily have kept them.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I forget that it's because they're famous and because they're like superheroes aren't underground. That's so they know about the the Doras. Yeah, so that's why she had to do it. But then when Riri was like, you need to check how you look, you have that ashy head of yours.
That was so
she
cute.
spends the whole rest of the scene like, I told you, like, you lied to me.
That was so good.
It's so funny.
The three of them played off of each other so well.
Yeah,
it was really fun.
That was really fun. And then I loved Okoye's like, little girl.
she said, little girl.
Like, so funny, dying laughing. Don't know why everybody else in the theater wasn't laughing as hard as we were.
The theater was lame. That's all I want to talk about Riri's car, just because that was a great car and I liked it a lot. However, the like big feature that it got at the end, I'm like, that must be a thing from the comics. This must be like known as her car, because it felt like an applause line.
No, it was like romantic. It was a romantic gesture. Don't worry, you think that that's my ship, but it's not.
It's all of them.
I had about 9 ships for Shuri.
Shuri had chemistry with like 75% of the people she encountered.
Right.
I was like, oh, is that? No. Oh, no, I want... Maybe they should...
I mean, ultimately, obviously, spoiler alert, my ship is Namor and Shuri. I have evidence, like, you know that meme of someone like
royal wedding? Is that going to be the?
It's underwater. They have 2. There's a dual ceremony. Everybody puts on their scuba gear and goes underwater.
She's not kidding.
We were getting ready for bed, and Jessa was like brushing her teeth, and like I was already in bed tucked in, and I came in crazed, and I was like, she can breathe underwater now, and here's my evidence. Anyway, so let's focus it back in.
Right, we're at MIT.
Riri. Yeah. They calling that beautiful vehicle primitive. She's like, ew. I'm like, yeah. But I also love the interaction with Riri and Shuri, and that both being like young, Black, and excellent. And like that was just like a really fun interaction to see, especially because film and TV in general, you usually only get one of those.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like you don't usually get to see like
two young Black women scientists.
That's right. Like,
Yeah.
it was so, just watching it was just incredible to see them in the same room, just being
I actually think that's my top ship for Shuri. Riri.
I mean, it's that's the one that's like the most realistic. I can't get away from enemies.
I get it. I do get it.
Like, come on. We're not there yet, Alex. But yeah, and her like looking at her charts and being like, and this is like maybe one of my favorite lines in the whole movie, which is like, everything in this garage works, because it just like their like mutual understanding of the way that they work. And then, you know, Riri got in good with Mom, because when they were about to do the fight sequence, Riri just goes up and is like, hey, can I help? And then Ramonda is like, anyway. Ironheart reveal, it's nice. It's cute. Yeah, I like it. I like that they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna fly that thing. I like that there's a YouTube channel dedicated to her. All really cute.
I missed that. Oh, no, that's right. I remember that. She said for sightings. You're right.
Yes, for sightings.
Okay, yes, I do remember that. Yes.
Very cute.
And it was very satisfying seeing her go blasting off through the ceiling.
Yeah, and they did a callback to the original Iron Man movie, because he has that moment where he does the calculations in, actually his robot does the calculations for him about the if he can like sustain the oxygen when he's taking the missile away. And then we had that movie with the tracker, we had that parallel when the tracker is tracking Shuri and Riri's like, girl, I got you. And then Shuri's like, I don't think you can breathe that high. And Riri said, let me do some quick, fast math about numbers that I can't comprehend as a theater major. And then she did it, and then she was like, I might die now, but it was worth it. Yeah. And then she's like, nope, I'm good. And then I'm also gonna missile this and clear the way for you, and then win.
It was so good. So good.
So yeah, I thought that reveal was really, really great, and it honored the old Iron Man, a really good way to pass the torch on to her.
Well, I really want to talk about the ancestral plane.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have a specific
no, go ahead.
All of this is tied into Ramonda dying as well, which I didn't like.
Yeah, I could tell. I could feel it in the theater that you didn't like that choice. Yeah. Because there was like a 10-minute window where you were very still. And I was like,
it's just my brain is running.
No, I knew. And I was like, interesting. It was something that like if we were watching and reacting, that you would have had something to say. And because we see each other so much, I could just tell. Yeah. I was like, oh, she didn't like that choice. Yeah. But I would like you to talk on it.
Okay. It's mostly like behind the scenes stuff. Because what would happen normally is the character of T'Challa dies, and Shuri goes on this, it's almost not a hero's journey, but it is. And she takes her new heart-shaped herb, she goes to the ancestral plane, and she sees her brother, and he's like, buck up, Buttercup, you have the mantle now. Obviously can't do that. And I did have like a really sick moment. I was like, they didn't make a CGI monster of him, right? They respect him too much to do that. But then that leaves them with the storytelling problem of what do you do with the ancestral plane? Because it was such an incredible part of the first movie, so moving. I mean, the part where Killmonger goes and his ancestral plane is the apartment in Oakland with white static and there are no ancestors.
Devastating.
Yeah. So Shuri is in a completely different place. So when they kill off Ramonda, which I didn't like, just because that's a lot of tragedy for one family. Also, I just don't want to lose Angela Bassett. Yeah. And I don't, as far as like story, I'm not sure it's needed. My understanding of it is they have to have someone for Shuri to meet on the ancestral plane. But then, instead, she sees Killmonger. Now, obviously, it's set up so we think she's going to see Mother. Yeah. And even to the point where he's got a fetching new hairstyle that we just see over the back of the throne.
I can't speak about that.
But I guess I don't have, like, analysis of it other than I could see where it was a story writing problem that they had to work around. And I just find it interesting. And it just didn't, it had a completely different feeling for me than the ancestral plane stories in the first movie, where this felt more like moving the pieces along the board to make the story happen versus the like deeply meaningful and moving and heart-wrenching thing that it was in the first movie. So yes, I didn't love killing off Ramonda, and I was like, I had minimal emotions on it just because I got really into like storytelling brain and like, oh, I don't love this.
I think there's a sick part of me with my Namor ship that thinks like that's the more interesting dramatic choice is to have him paralleling Nakia killing his like child, with, you have to balance it out so that they can go into this relationship as equals. But anyway, with all of that, I actually also don't really like Ramonda dying, but mostly because I didn't see the narrative benefit to it, and then why lose that character? The only thing that I can say is so that she can have that very end ancestral plane moment, because the only other way they would do that was with T'Challa, which they can't do because they can't do a weird, because if they're gonna do Killmonger, which I think is an excellent choice because she's going into it with vengeance, I think it's a great choice to have him. I think that's a great way, just methodologically, like for the shaping of, to bring him back into the story, even though he's dead, I think, to remind us of what his mission was. I think that's a great way to do that. Also, he's stunning.
Listen.
But, and their little circle chat, which we don't usually like a circle.
Oh, that's right. I didn't complain once about a spinning camera.
I sure did not, because wow.
No, on that though, I noticed even from the very first scene, and I don't necessarily remember this from the first Black Panther, I think it's different. The very kinetic camera movement, there was very little like sit the camera and let the scene play out, which isn't always something that I like. But I think it was done well, and that's the difference. They were
very careful about it, and nothing felt too like we're in film school and we're trying to show we can do more interesting shots.
I mean, I think that also comes down to the editing and the music, so that the whole thing came together. It's not like a classical score with like long phrases and then bizarrely the camera is jumping in between it. The music, because it's so like hip hop inspired and it's got the African, it's like broken up into really short phrases, so the camera being a lot more kinetic and having quicker shots. Anyway, it's just good filmmaking. It all goes together.
Excellent filmmaking, and that's a really good point about the music, which I can't talk enough about. I can't wait to like. I'm gonna download this and listen all the time. So I don't know if the payoff of seeing her at the very end was enough for me to justify killing her. The other thing is, though, at the beginning of the movie, we set up this mama bearing that Ramonda is doing, where she can't let go of Shuri because she's lost everybody else, which I think is interesting, and I do think it's a cop-out then to kill Ramonda because they don't grow from that. You just took away the obstacle instead of working through the conflict.
And I also wanted to see how the relationship with Okoye gets repaired.
Right. Yes, and that's important. And then Ramonda she's speaking a lot about how you need to like fix the heart-shaped herb, but I don't think she's letting Shuri, like in her mind, I don't think Shuri is the one taking that. Interesting. Which you would think that it is, but the way that she's been like holding on to Shuri and she's not letting her go places, like who did she have in mind for that? Was it originally Okoye? Was it Nakia? Nakia would be great with it. We had a lot of amazing options. I mean, there's also M'Baku, who all of their choices with him in this film are chaotic and amazing. I don't know necessarily if he is the same character from the first Black Panther, and I do not care. I feel like
he was a fun character, whoever he was.
Yes.
punching his carrot as he walked into the throne. Let's talk more about Namor and Talokan, because I feel like we've barely touched on that.
Well, yeah, because I think one of the most beautiful parts of this film, honestly, all of their underwater filmmaking is really beautiful in this movie, and I would really like to see behind the scenes about how they did all of that, because it's gorgeous.
A lot of real swimming. That's the news stories come out about how Ryan Coogler learned to swim as well, because he was like, I'm not going to have my cast swimming in a tank all day long, and I'm not in the water as well. So like, good for you.
Yeah.
That's how you create a good atmosphere on set.
Yeah, it was really, really great.
I feel like I don't know enough about like indigenous Mexican culture to speak to what like seeing that reflected is, you know,
right.
Obviously neither of us are Mexican. So I mean, I just want to acknowledge it's there, and the design is beautiful, and I know that like the specific hand motion that Namor does is what I tried to memorize it, and it wouldn't stay, but the name of the feathered serpent god.
Oh, his actual name. I also tried to commit it to memory, because I was like, I don't want to call him Namor the whole time, even though I think that's sexy.
But that's the motion in all the paintings that he's doing, which is why they use that as like the version of the Wakanda Forever. Oh, sorry, right over left. I don't know. It was all really beautiful. I know that all we've said about him is that he's extremely hot, but that's very true.
But he's also like a character with a lot of depth and a lot of pain, and I think that's a pain that anyone, like any marginalized community, can really speak to, is like having like your culture ripped from you, or the moment when you realize that your history is a history of tragedy, you know? So like him being like, oh yeah, your mom dies and that's the process of death, and then going to bury his mother on the land, and then realizing what has happened, and then having to be like a child murderer is... And then he calls himself a freak or an abomination, or what does he say?
Well, he says mutant.
Mutant, there we go.
We should talk about that. That's a big deal. I just want to say another Oscar for Ruth Carter, please. I mean, again, all of Ramonda's clothes were so beautiful. But I think one of my favorite costumes is Shuri's funeral outfit, because it's extremely traditional, but her veil has printed with all of these like science looking motifs, which I thought is so cool. It's the constant thing that Ruth Carter did with the costuming of Wakanda, to combine tradition and technology.
Yeah.
Just like all of Ramonda's headpieces are 3D printed. They're not organic. I just
3D printing the heart-shaped herb. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so Shuri. It's like it's like the equivalent of Spider-Man making his own suit. Like she got to make it hers.
Yes.
Like that is her Black Panther.
Yes, I will say it does bear the DNA of the Talokan.
Let's talk about it. Well, okay. Well, I know we only have like 10 minutes left, but 8 minutes. Okay. We have to really, I'm going to go quick, but here's where the basis of my ship comes. And that is, why do they have a room that's for a guest that doesn't breathe underwater when nobody else has come there before? Why do they have a suit made? And why was she brought to a room where he had set up a date for them and left his mother's bracelet for her? And then he said, here, you dress like a queen in my home. And then he gave her a proposal speech. And then at the end of the movie, where she's contemplating whether or not to kill him.
Oh, the thing that I was thinking, and then I forgot it. It's Hades and Persephone.
Yes.
Ramonda is Demeter.
Yes.
On the surface.
Yes.
Instead.
Pulling her. Yeah. 100%. Wow.
He said, I missed you.
He said we could have been great together. But yeah, when she's contemplating whether or not to kill him, first of all, there are a lot of images of him smiling in that, like all of it, like they were paralleling their lives,
yes.
which was beautiful and excellently done because, again, to the thesis of the film, we're paralleling these two cultures that people are looking down on.
Yes.
And she sees like the Wakandan children and she sees the Talokan children, and it's great. There were also just some images of him just like on them on their date, which I thought, I was like,
she was like, remember when he was painting?
Remember when he gave me the Black Panther power? But anyway, so I think she has their ancestor within her as well. When she goes into the ancestral plane, she starts underwater and she swims up to the Wakandan ancestral plane. And then here is my brushing teeth moment, okay? At the end of the movie, when she rebuilds the car for her other girlfriend, Riri, she says, the pieces were spread out all over the ocean, but I swam and I got them all. It took a long time. She swam to get them all? That's specific wording, honey. I don't know if anybody helped you, like your other boyfriend, husband, fiance, Namor. But she said
there is see no more, no more.
Yeah. Okay? They're parallel.
That was embarrassing.
That was such an embarrassing, like, dad joke instead. We, like, when they come back and they're both, like, leaning on that ship and they're in the exact same structure.
It was very sexy and romantic of them. Okay, last thoughts. We gotta spin it up. Prince T'Challa, I did weep.
Oh, the baby
with his little dimples.
He was so cute.
Oh,
Prince T'Challa cone. What a sweet baby. I just thought he looked like the little famous cone boy. Cone. Yeah. I want some cone. Sure. Okay, well, sorry that we rushed through this review. We're on a checkout schedule. Yes. But the end result is you should see the movie. It's an excellent film. Please, we clearly have so much more to say about it. So leave us your thoughts in the comments and we will respond. Yeah. Obviously, it's great and we love you and thanks for watching. Bye.